The mountains tremble and the hills bow. The raging seas at his command slip. Death at the master's voice flee. His presence in his own death made death flee. The mountains tremble and the hills bow. Seasons comply with their times allocated. The seas and oceans their boundaries know. All rivers downstream to the ocean flow, and none goes upstream in defiance to the Lord. The mountains tremble and the hills bow. Diligently the sun rises and sets as instructed. The moon never fails. The earth on its axis rotates and never tire, while it hangs in space and God's hands unseen. The mountains tremble and the hills bow. The mountains tremble and the hills bow. Clouds may gather, but at his command may not rain. Nature to his instructions obey, but humanity to his commands disobey. The mountains tremble and the hills bow. Pharaoh the king once said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey him?" Humanity is doing exactly the same, while nature God's commands obey. And the mountains tremble and the hills bow. When God says you shall not kill, humanity is doing exactly the opposite. It's murder everywhere and murder anytime. Humanity to his commands disobey, but the mountains tremble and the hills bow. When God says you shall not steal, humanity is doing exactly the opposite. Pickpocketing, robberies, cash heists, and ATM bombings everywhere. White-collar crime, another form of stealing. But the mountains tremble and the hills bow. When God says you shall have no other gods before me, humanity is doing exactly the opposite. Even the arch enemy of God have been worshipped. Humanity to God's commands disobey, but the mountains tremble and the hills bow. Many are now lovers of money, and their God it has been. No man can serve two masters. Either you hate one and love the other. Nature to God's commands obey, but humanity to his commands disobey. The mountains tremble and the hills bow.